Well, I'm pleased that the president has said that he is not sending National Guard or military troops to Chicago. So we should all celebrate that comment of his, and I'm glad to hear it. On the other hand, as you've heard, the president says things one day and then goes back on them the next day, changes his mind.
Well, if they do cooperate, that's good. If they don't, it's not going to matter to us at all. You know who wants to help us? Police department. They have no respect for the governor. They have no respect for the mayor. They respect us. And we found that in Washington. You know, we haven't had total support in Washington from government, as you know, from everybody. I don't want to say the mayor because she was better than most, but we haven't had great, but we have had great support from the Metropolitan Police. They're like brothers of these people. They're really like brothers. You see that. They work together. And so if the governor wants to support, as I said to Bill, it's going to be his proudest moment, what he's going to do, the governor of Tennessee, what's going to happen with Memphis. In 3-4 weeks, we'll stand together and we'll say, look at this. The crime has almost disappeared, maybe completely disappeared. In Washington, they don't even know how to record it because it's down so much. You know, they've never heard. I heard 87% is down. I said, really? Who are the 13%? Because it's more than that. It's actually more. Hard to believe, right? You're going to have the same results in Chicago. And we hope we have the governor's help, but if we don't, we're doing it without him.
President Donald Trump yesterday talking about how Chicago is next after Governor J.B. Pritzker said he's happy that Trump's not sending in the National Guard. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, here each and every weekday morning, and it is thecentersquare.com where you can get these headlines and more, and get the newsletter as well. Let's get back into a clip-heavy show with a lot of back and forth yesterday. You had Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday sharing thoughts about use of more federal agencies to help solve crime, even as ICE continues their efforts to go after illegal aliens in the state of Illinois and in the Chicago area. So let's hear what Governor J.B. Pritzker, some of what he had to say yesterday.
I'm pleased that the president has said that he is not sending National Guard or military troops to Chicago. So we should all celebrate that comment of his, and I'm glad to hear it. On the other hand, as you've heard, the president says things one day and then goes back on them the next day, changes his mind from week to week. So we never really know what he intends to do.
And again, you heard the president in the tease there at the start of the segment saying that if they don't get support from the mayor or the governor, they're going to go in. And this is after he signed a memo that has the National Guard helping Tennessee out with Memphis with support from the local jurisdiction. And here's, again, the president talking about how if that doesn't happen in Illinois, well, they're going in anyways.
Cities are great cities. Chicago's a great city. And we're going to make it great again very soon.
And he also talked about how they've been active in Chicago with the FBI.
I want to thank the FBI for the last 4 or 5 months because they have brought down the numbers quite a bit. Chicago here and a couple of other places that we can talk about later.
He also went into the importance of local cooperation in all of this.
Well, if they do cooperate, that's good. If they don't, it's not going to matter to us at all. You know who wants to help us? Police department. They have no respect for the governor. They have no respect for the mayor. They respect us.
And he went on to talk about how Chicago is not just the next city on their list. Other cities are going to see some increased federal activity as well when it comes to enforcing public safety.
We got to save St. Louis. We got to save these cities. This isn't like, you know, we're going to do something. We have to save St. Louis. We have to save Chicago. I know all about Chicago. I have a great, beautiful building. I'm so proud of it. But, you know, you get less proud when you see all the crime. When they announced 2 weeks ago, 11 people killed, just over a weekend, I think they said 38 people shot and 11 people dead. And then you watch Pritzker get up and say, we've got crime under control. And I will say that Cash and the FBI did a good job. With a very light force, they went in, and for about 4 months, Cash or so, yes, they've been working on keeping crime down. They have brought the numbers down a little bit. But those are the easy numbers. You know, the first 20, 25% are the easy numbers. That's where it gets then you have to bring in the big forces, right? Which is what we always intended to do. But I think the FBI's done a very good job. In particular, in Memphis and Chicago, they brought it down a little bit, like 20% and 25%. Well, I guess it's not so little, but we have a long way to go. We think Chicago is going to be next, and we'll get to St. Louis also.
And Charlie Kirk's assessment.
And New Orleans we want to get to, too.
So several different states and cities he's looking at. So not just Chicago being next, St. Louis and New Orleans, but Memphis going to get first dibs here outside of Washington, D.C. and outside of L.A. because L.A. was obviously something that sparked some fires in the middle of streets and bricks being thrown through windows and a whole variety of other violent activity. So when is Chicago going to happen? Well, he says they're already on the ground with other federal agencies, including Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
In Chicago, they're getting beat to hell. They're being shot. If you lose 6 or 7 people die over a weekend, they consider that a successful weekend. And when you consider that a successful weekend, that's pretty bad.
Pritzker yesterday, talking to members of the media, said that he does see increased federal enforcement, but it's coming through Immigrations and Customs Enforcement.
No, ICE has been gathering its agents. It has taken them longer than I think they anticipated. And so we still, and they are active, as you have seen. They are, and we've seen a death on Friday as a result of their entering communities and putting people into fear. So I expect that this will continue. I expect that they now have more people on the ground and will effectuate their plans to an even greater degree.
And Pritzker's talking about this incident, and you can read about it at thecentersquare.com. Migrant dead, ICE officer injured after incident. And again, go to thecentersquare.com. You can read Jim Talamonte's story here. Man dead and a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers injured after the ICE officer attempted to conduct a traffic stop in a Chicago suburb. DHS said that the ICE officer was attempting to arrest a criminally illegal alien.
The federal government.
According to the statement from DHS, the illegal alien resisted arrest, attempted to flee the scene, drove at law enforcement officers, and dragged the ICE officer with his car. DHS said the officer feared for his life and fired his weapon. The Village of Franklin Park released a statement saying that the suspect was taken to the Loyola Hospital and pronounced dead, and the officer is in stable condition with multiple injuries. Assistant DHS Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said that we're praying for the speedy recovery of the law enforcement officer. He followed his training, used appropriate force, and properly enforced the law to protect the public and law enforcement. So they say that law enforcement are seeing 1,000% increase in assaults against them as they carry out immigration enforcement efforts. The governor spoke a little bit more detail about this case, saying he's wanting more information about what transpired.
What were the circumstances that were leading them to pursue this person in the way that they did? This is somebody who, as I understand, was on their way home, perhaps, from dropping their children off at daycare. We don't exactly know what all the circumstances were, so it's hard for me to make comments about it. But the important thing is we should have transparency, just like, there's frustration over people wearing masks and throwing people into vans in a way that does not seem American to me. It does not seem constitutional to me. We now see that ICE is unwilling to share the details of what has happened. If this were...
But again, we just heard the details from the Department of Homeland Security about that incident from the news release. And granted, that's just the government's side of the story, right? And that's always important when you look at police reports. That's just one side of the story. So obviously more information is going to come out about that case. But you've got ICE posting on social media, Operation Midway Blitz. They say our federal team arrested a criminally illegal alien with a warrant for shooting homicide on September 8th. As of Operation Midway Blitz, he's also suspected MS-13 gang member who is living freely in the Chicago area. And here is a little bit of video showing them approaching a residence. Again, this is shared by ICE on social media. So Pritzker talking about, the fear that a lot of people, he says, have in these communities. And they're violating rights, they say. They want people to know their rights. Don't answer questions, don't let anybody in without a legitimate warrant, have immigration lawyers at the ready. Some are paid by the state of Illinois. But Pritzker says, they can't necessarily turn around and investigate federal law enforcement agencies for these allegations.
This is the federal government. We don't have the ability to have state or local resources focused on investigating the federal law enforcement agencies.
So what does that mean exactly? I mean, if somebody in the neighborhood sees what the Democrat leaders are characterizing as masked people being jumping out of vans and throwing people into vans, I mean, that could look like a kidnapping the way they characterize it. Should people be calling 911 and saying, I saw a kidnapping? And what's the law enforcement going to do? Well, we know that there's ICE in the area, or is that not going to be the case because police can't cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement? So it's muddy waters here, no question. But Pritzker, he talked about the sending troops is not what is needed. He's said time and again that there's no emergency in Chicago, there's no disaster in Chicago, and he doesn't want to see troops sent into any American city.
All I can say is that sending troops into any American city is a terrible idea. The law and the Constitution only allow it in the case of insurrection or a national emergency, and those are not taking place in any city across the United States.
And except for Memphis, you've got the governor in Tennessee working with the Trump administration to allow for the National Guard to get in there and address crime. And you've got the governor in the past has said, hey, you can't have military conducting domestic law enforcement that violates posse comitatus. Well, last Thursday, up in Chicago, Attorney David Shostokis, former Republican Attorney General candidate in the primary in 2022, he joined with Chicago Flips Red at their news conference Thursday and said that the governor and Democrats using the posse comitatus line are gaslighting the public.
So we don't have somebody like, Governor Pritzker running around gaslighting going, it's unconstitutional, it's un-American. It starts with the Insurrection Act of 1792. George Washington was the first guy that put that in action. More recently, it's been used 30 times since 1794, when George Washington did it first. President Eisenhower helped kids attend school. President Kennedy helped kids help school. President Johnson put down riots in Detroit. President Bush put down riots in Los Angeles. It's been used over and over and over again. Guess what? Without the permission of the local authorities. Everybody's saying that the president needs local authorities to invite him. That's a lie. Everybody's saying that the president needs local authorities to invite him. That's a lie. It's not the law. They're making it up. They cite something called the Posse Comitatus Act. The insurrection actually has an exception to that. I hope you will take a look at that and understand that the president does in fact have the authority, that we've been lied to about the president's authority, that we've been gaslighted about it, and I hope the president does in fact decide that he's going to help out Chicago and any number of other places where in fact the local authorities have abdicated their duty under the 14th Amendment to protect the lives of the citizens in the areas under their care.
What's going to happen with Chicago? Will President Donald Trump ultimately send in the National Guard? It's something we'll be watching closely, so you can wake up with us each and every weekday morning here for more Illinois in Focus Daily with thecentersquare.com.